All right, so this is another edition of Pittsburgh Sports Now Quarantine Live. I'm Stephen Patrick. Tonight we're joined by Pitt Wrestling head coach Keith Gavin. Keith, it's been quite a month for Pitt Wrestling and the Pittsburgh RTC.
Yeah, we've been making good use of our quarantine, I guess. But yeah, we added some people to the RTC. We added Luke Fletcher as our volunteer assistant. So we're excited about those additions for sure.
So how did that go with Fletcher? Bring him over from Ohio State. What's the process with that?
Well, he's from Western Pennsylvania. He's mentioned that he'd like to get back home, and we could just kind of know him. Because like I said, he's from the area. He already knows quite a few guys on the team. I recruited him, when he was in high school. I was at Virginia, and Coach Lena and I tried to recruit him down there, so we got to know him a little bit through that process. But yeah, he was really he was the guy that we wanted to get into that role. We thought that he would fit really well with what we're trying to do here.
So what does Luke bring to the RTC, both as a potential freestyle athlete and working with the college guys?
Yeah, I think, competitively he has a really bright future. Obviously, he wrestled he's having a great year this year, and unfortunately didn't get his chance to try to win that national title. But nonetheless, he had a great year, and he's shown some pretty good freestyle skills already. And I think 65 kilo is a weight that will really suit him well. And I see him doing very well there. So it'll be a good situation for him, and we're excited, to help him with his competitive career and watch how that goes. And then from the coaching side of it, like I said, a lot of our guys know him already, and they all have a great deal of respect for him, and obviously he's a good wrestler, but more than that, it's about the way that he competes and the way he carries himself is all the things that we talk about.
Sure. So sticking with the RTC, Neko Meghna will be back for another year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Neko unfortunately got injured last year, and so he was not going to be able to. He got injured, got the surgery, and was looking good. He was going to try to wrestle that last chance qualifier, and then he re-tore his knee again, the same one. So really unfortunate, and there was no way he'd be able to get back for that last chance qualifier. But then when this virus hit. It kind of, for him, it's going to help him in his career, because now he's able to. I just talked to him today, and he said he's feeling good. His knee's getting stronger. It's been about 8 weeks since he retore it. So yeah, he's going to give it a go here and try to finish out with this, making this Olympic team.
Cool. Yeah. All right, so let's talk recruiting a little bit. How about this class coming in as a whole? What are their strengths? The best guys?
Yeah, I think that. We got some guys that we got a lot of kids from PA that really want to, some that came on late that they just decided they wanted to be a part of our program, and we're very happy about that. But we got Mick Burnett early, in the recruiting process, or earlier than some of those other guys. Mick is from Elyria, Ohio, which is really just under 2 hours probably from Pittsburgh, so it's pretty close to home from him as well. But he's got a lot of upside. He's a really talented wrestler that just loves the sport. And those are the kind of guys that we're trying to bring in. Mick, Colby Whitehill, Colby, 2-time state champ at heavyweight. Really excited about Colby because he's an aggressive heavyweight, and we've seen that go well in our program. My first year we had Brian Solomon, and he was an aggressive heavyweight, and Colby reminds me a little bit of Solomon because he's good on top. He can turn people, and Ryan was that way, and then obviously we had Meach the last couple of years, and Meach was maybe one of the most aggressive heavyweights I've ever been around, so we're used to having that kind of guy in our room. So we're excited that Colby's going to be hopefully continuing that tradition. Antonio Petroselli, he signed with us fairly early. He came out on a visit. He loved it, and he's a great kid that loves wrestling again, and he was 5th and 7th in the state. He's a middleweight, a weight that weights that we need guys right now. We're pretty good in the lower weights, and we need some guys in the middle there. So he fits that bill. And then we just signed Tyler Badgett, who Tyler was originally going to ODU, and then when they dropped, we were able to pick him up. And again, he fits the bill for the weight class that we need. But he's a great kid, and he's a good wrestler. I mean, he got second in the California State tournament twice. This past year, he lost the number one kid in the country and beat a top ranked guy in the semi. So he had a really good tough weight class. So that was a nice late pickup, and it's nice to get somebody from California too. We're kind of branching out a little bit, so that's exciting.
So those guys that you mentioned, do you see any of them possibly starting next year?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say it's not possible. Yeah, I could see that. It depends. If we basically the way we're going to do it is if they're the best guy, they're the best guy. And that's going to be determined by in the room the way that they're training and practicing and how they do against the other guy at their weight class on our team. And then also, if we'll probably send them to an open tournament and see how they do against other competition. So you never know. We usually, we plan it when we bring them in to have a redshirt year, but like I said, if they're the guy, then we'll probably put them out there. But it's a little too early to tell. And the other thing is with our quarantine situation going on, usually we get them in here and start training in the summer, which that doesn't look like we'll be able to do that. So, and that's a big loss for the incoming guys, because they were able to catch up a little bit in that summertime training.
So the news came out earlier this week that Ryan Sullivan was transferring to West Virginia.
Oh yeah.
Any other possible transfers in or out?
No, I don't think. Well, definitely, I don't foresee anybody transferring out. We're always on the lookout for a guy to transfer in. So I would say that there is a possibility of that. Nothing for sure right now though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how about some of the freshmen coming off redshirt this year, namely Colton Camacho, Jared McGill, and Austin Cooley? How are they developing, and what do you foresee for that?
Yeah. Yeah, we're excited about those guys. Austin probably fit in at 197. That was the plan. He's getting pretty big right now, and he's into lifting weights, so which is good. Those upper weights need to be strong. But he had a lot of injuries this year, and so he didn't get on the mat as much as we would like him to. But this time off here, he's hopefully healing that up, and we're really looking forward to him stepping in there and doing well for us right away. Jarrett McGill, same thing. Jarrett loves to compete, so he had a pretty good year. He had some consistent training, and he was in a good weight. Like those guys are around some guys that they have good training partners. Jared and Austin got Harvey and Nino and Wenzel, and they had Kellen. Obviously, Kellen's graduated now, but it was a good group. So those guys were all getting better. So we're excited about that. And then Camacho's, he's on the other end of it, but he's in a good group down there. And really, Colton had a really good redshirt year where he won a tournament, but his scuffle was pretty good, where he beat a kid from Air Force that was ranked pretty high at the time. And then really he was a little just inconsistent, like that second day, he was up early, cutting a lot of weight, and hopefully he learned a lesson that that's not the way to handle his business, because he was having a really good tournament, but Colton could scrap, he's fun to watch, and we're just making sure that he could be consistent, so there's a lot of guys. It's still early to say like who's going to go what weight and things like that. Right now the plan for Colton is 25, and Lewis is also probably going to stay at 25. We didn't think so. We didn't think that Lewis would be able to be 25 for a while, but he actually made it pretty easy last year. Towards the end, for that first year he struggled, but I think that he kind of matured a little bit and got a handle on it, and at the end of the year he was making it easy. So, like I said, it's early. We'll see what happens. We're just in April, but we're going to try to get everybody in there, because those guys are pretty good.
So how did the guys on the team take having the tournament canceled?
Yeah, it was rough. It was definitely rough for a lot of them. It was rough for our team as a whole. We sent 7 guys, and they all those guys were, obviously Mickey Philippi ranked or seated 4th, and Meach was 7th, and Nino was 10th, and Jake had a good seed, and those guys, but even the guys that weren't as high seeded, like we didn't feel like we were bringing anybody to that tournament to go 0-2, like Greg Harvey's a bad draw, no matter where he is, because he's going to wrestle really hard, so we were looking forward to everybody. Cole Matthews just getting that experience of wrestling in that national tournament, and we kind of liked where he was sitting in the bracket too, but so I think they all felt it, all those guys going to nationals. But really, I mean, we kind of look at it as you got to learn from it and move forward. I mean, you talk about it all the time about, like not taking it for granted that, make sure you appreciate the opportunity that you have to go compete in something that you enjoy doing. And those are just words until it actually hits you, and this definitely hit them, where who would have guessed that, a pandemic would have caused you to lose your national tournament, so I'm hoping that they enter the season next year and we're able to get back to training, even that they're they have that attitude of, they're really thankful for the opportunity that they have, and they're not going to take it for granted and use this as fuel a little bit.
Has there been any talk about getting the season scheduled on time for next year?
No, we haven't really talked about any of that stuff. I think the main concern right now, I know the main concern right now with athletic departments and the NCAA is what they're going to do with football, so in the fall sports. So, we're technically a winter sport. And so most of the talk has been around the fall sports.
So what are the guys doing? All the gyms are closed. Everything on campus is closed. Are they just going for runs and doing body weight stuff?
Yeah, our strength coach, who's great, by the way, Tyler Carpenter, does a great job. But he sent them all a strength training program, and it's mainly body weight stuff, and some ideas to get creative with what you can use, and then they obviously go out for a run, but they're limited. I mean, I just tell them keep it simple, but you can do something. You can go run, you can do stance motion. It might be boring, but it's a lot better than sitting on the couch and doing nothing. So yeah, that's what they're doing. We can't do anything.
Well, at least every other team is in the same boat, so it's sort of like you have a disadvantage.
Yeah, that's what we said. Everybody's in the same boat, and hopefully we can get started back up sometime and get back to normal.
Let's talk about the ACC for a minute. Last year at the tournament, Pitt and Virginia or NC State were separated by basically one match, and then the UNC, Virginia Tech, Pitt, and NC State, all four of those teams when they wrestled each other was either 6-4 or 5-5.
Yeah,
matches, I think, and plus all four of you have good recruiting classes coming in this year and next year.
Yeah, it's a heck of a conference, and it's the dual meets are fun. That's like I never paid attention to it really, of the argument or the debate of let's make a dual meet championship, because it never really. I wasn't I had other things to worry about, but this year really kind of made it obvious that like people get into that. I get into it, and we got to make a bigger deal out of that stuff, because those dual meets are fun, and when they're competitive like that, they're fun to coach in. They're fun for our guys. The athletes love it, the fans love it. So it's fun to be a part of a competitive conference like that, and knowing that you got that coming up in the end. It's like it's not like, oh, we got to go down there and wrestle those guys or something. Like you're excited for it. You should be excited for every time you compete, but it's just a lot easier when it's something like that. But yeah, this team, they got great classes coming in. I know NC State I don't think they didn't graduate anybody from their team last year. And they had a great dual team. So it's going to be tough next year. But we're looking forward to it. I always say it makes scheduling easier, because we know we got those teams at the end, and kind of the way that you want to make sure that you're wrestling tough teams, so that when you get to the national tournament, your guys prepared for it, and it helps with RPI and stuff like that. So you got those. It makes your the scheduling portion a lot easier.
So you briefly touched on possibly adding a dual national championship. Are there any other format or rule changes for NCAA wrestling you'd like to see put in place?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, well, the dual thing, they've been talking about that for years. And I feel like most people are behind it. So I'm not sure I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you what the holdup is. I guess like the holdup would be what. Well, I think what it is the NCAA trying to get them to grant you 2 championships. Because we obviously don't want to get rid of our individual championship, But yeah, I'm in support of making the dual meets a bigger deal because I think that it's I just think it should be. But yeah, I mean, I think that we could always the thing I would like to see with wrestling rules is just to make it simpler. I mean, it's I feel like we're fixated on making it a more exciting thing. We think that as a sport, we think that if we make it more exciting, more people are going to watch. But it's really you have to make it simpler to follow. Like the average person doesn't know, what's going on out there. So just got to make it simpler.
Does getting rid of the out of bounds stall call play into that?
Yeah, I think that. I mean, you can this push out rule or the step out rule, whatever you want to call it, in freestyle is. I just think it solves that problem a lot easier. Because it's just a more clear cut, and you'll have those issues where it's oh, who stepped out first, and things like that. And I heard people argue that, well, if you do that, it's just going to turn into sumo, but that's not true. That won't happen. If we haven't seen it, that doesn't happen in freestyle. But so I think if they're that concerned about people going out of bounds too often and making it, then you should just do it freestyle, dude, because it takes it out of the referee's hands of having to make a call. Right now it's there's too much on that official to have to. He's judging the intent. Like if the guy was pushing, was the guy that went out of bounds? Is he backing up or is he trying to stay in? I mean, how can you tell that in the heat of the moment all the time? It's just too much for those guys.
So, you also mentioned freestyle. Any insights into the U.S. Olympic team selection process? I know the 10 NCAA champions, would have been NCAA champions for this year, were going to be Olympic trial qualifiers.
Mm-hmm.
Have they talked about how they're going to make up for that difference going to the trials next year?
No, I haven't heard anything about anything like that or when they're going to schedule things for. I know I just saw they canceled everything through July 1st, I think. So, all the U23 stuff, which we kind of knew was coming. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, right now, if they have a last chance qualifier, that's going to be one heck of a tournament. It's going to be like the NCAA tournament all over again. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything.
All right, Coach. Any other updates or comments about the program?
No, I think that there's a lot unknown right now with our team as far as who's going to be in what weight. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some changes going on next year. But we're excited to get. It's exciting to see some new guys step in there and see what they can do. Like the guys you mentioned that were coming off a red shirt, and I know they're excited to get their opportunity. And then it's fun to watch guys grow. Like a guy like what Jake Wenzel did last year, it was pretty fun to watch. And Greg Harvey's, obviously had a big improvement. So we're looking for who's going to do that next year. We're going to need people to step up and probably more than one person. We're going to need them to step up and kind of be the surprise for us next year if we're going to try to do some damage. So looking forward to it. And can't wait to get back.
All right. Yeah, I hope the season starts at a reasonable time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach. Have a good night.
All right, you too. See you.